Okay, this is the last exercise of the chapter, exercise 2L on quadratic equations in this form. So quadratic just means that it's got an x squared. These are called simple quadratic equations. And to begin with, I'd actually like you to try these. I'd actually like you to pause the video and put down the answer for these. You can put them in your calculator if you want to. You must put the brackets here. Okay, pause now and do it. Here are the answers. So 8 squared means 8 times 8, that's 64. Negative 8 squared means negative 8 times negative 8, that also equals 64. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. Negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3, that's also positive 9. So we've got a conclusion here. If some number squared is 64, find that number. Well, we saw here there were two possibilities, two numbers that you could square to get 64. So x equals 8 or minus 8. And we do have a little short way of writing that. We write it as x equals the positive or the negative of 8. And if some number squared equals 9, find the number. So we saw over here it was 3 and negative 3. Positive 3 and negative 3 both gave us 9. So x equals plus or minus 3. Now notice that 8 is the square root of 64. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. And 3 is the square root of 9. If you square root each side, you'll get 3. Okay, so let's have a go at a few of these. So the first one is a squared equals 49. So what you need to do to get a on its own is square root each side. We had lines that looked like this when we were doing Pythagoras' theorem. So let's square root each side. The square and the square root cancel out, just leaving a on its own. Anytime you square root each side, you write plus or minus, and 49 gives us 7. Okay, with this second one, first we need to actually divide by that 3 because we want p on its own. So divide by the 3, that cancels. So p squared equals 25. Then square root to get rid of the square. So p equals plus or minus square root of 25 is 5. Okay, this one is very similar, but you are going to see a little bit of a difference here. So divide by the 2 first. So m squared equals 13. Now 13 is not a square number. If you put that into your calculator, you're going to get a decimal. So square root of 13 is equal to 3.60555125. So what we can do is we can leave our answer in surd form. So square root each side, m equals plus or minus the square root of 13, leaving your answer in surd form. You can evaluate it in the calculator as well, but then you have to round it off. Plus or minus root 13, remember I said it was 3.6 to 1 decimal place. Last 2 more examples. So on this one, we need to get x on its own. So let's add the 14 to the other side. So we get x squared on the left and 14 on the right. Now this is very similar to the previous one, square root each side. So square root of x squared is just x. On this side, plus or minus root 14 in surd form. If you want to put it in your calculator, you can. I'm not going to. And number 5, this is a bit of a trick question actually. Let's get x on its own. So we've got to get rid of the plus 10, so we need to minus 10. So we've got x squared equals negative 7. Now, if I put the square root of negative 7 into my calculator, I'm in complex number mode, so let me just fix my calculator mode. I'm in a mode that will give me that for students studying a very high level of maths. It does give me an answer. But in year 9, we do get a maths error. Okay, our calculator cannot do the square root of a negative. So you say no real solution. It is not possible at year 9 level.